because there is a belief that is attached with it. I'm not good enough is a belief, right? I can't do this is a belief. There is something that is stopping you, something that is holding you back. So you'll have to find that out and work on it. Why so many people criticized with others, how to face the situation. Nagajyoti, great question. Thank you so much for asking. The more you grow, the more you will be criticized. That is the fact of the world, right? Somebody who's playing gully cricket will not be criticized so much. Somebody who is playing the international cricket, even though we don't understand how the international cricket work, we will criticize them. Kohli faces more criticism. Modi faces more criticism. I don't know the level of problem that Modi is solving, but I'll still criticize him. I don't know the kind of pressure Kohli is facing, but I'll still criticize him. Right? That is how humans are. They don't do anything. People who are doing it, we will trouble them. That is how the mindset is. So remember, you will be criticized. Don't give so much weightage to them. See, remember, whoever asked that, remember this. You cannot change some people. People who want to complain, cry, criticize, they will do that even to the God. That's a fact of life. Even they'll criticize the God, they'll complain to the God, they will belittle the God, they will do that also. Right? If you believe in God Almighty, whatever you believe in, that is how humans are. Right? So don't give so much weightage to them. Don't bother too much about them. I'll give you one simple solution to this. I usually say this. If somebody is giving me negative feedback, or if somebody is trying to be too smart with me and trying to criticize me, I will only ask them, have you played my life the way I'm playing it? If you are not living my life, if you don't know what I'm doing, you don't even have the right to complain. You don't even have the right to criticize. In a very, in one of the books, I talk about this. Again, I talk about this in many ways. If somebody is not in the arena playing the game that I am playing, getting dirtier the way I am getting dirtier. Dirtier is when you play more, when you practice more, you will get dirty, right? Right? When somebody is not doing as much work that I am doing, and somebody is not putting so much effort that I am putting, they don't have the right to criticize me. If they are doing it, if Sachin Tendulkar criticizes Kohli, it makes sense. If a gully cricketer criticizes Kohli, it doesn't make sense, right? So remember that. Don't worry about criticism too much. Okay, let's look at share an experience. Okay, I just missed that. Share an experience you had to deal with difficult person and how you handle the situation. Okay, great question somebody asked. Huh. So let me give you a situation. 2012, I said I started my 2013. I said I started my company. 2012, I was asked to leave the job. Right? It was not a pleasant experience. It was a very, very bad experience. I'm somebody who's very committed to whatever I do. Right? So one fine day, my colleague came and tapped on my back and said, "Hey, come talk. We have to talk to you." They gave me a termination letter and they left. They asked me to leave the company. That then and there, it was a shocker of my life. Right? My wife, to be wife, was waiting outside the office. For 5 hours, I was humiliated. I went through the most worst time of my life. Right? Those 5 hours. How did I deal with it? Now remember this, guys. When bad things happen, there are two chances. You can become better, you can become bitter. You can become positive or you can become negative. For some time, I became negative. Right? For some time, I became bitter. I was angry, I was frustrated, I became very arrogant at that time. But then I realized, hey, what am I doing? I'm damage to myself. Right? When you understand it, change yourself. And then from there, I never looked back. 2013, I worked on myself more. I became a better person. When I became a better person, things around me changed. If I was bitter, I would have attracted bitterness in my life. I became better. I attracted so many wonderful people, so many wonderful clients around me. So that's how I handled. I became bitter. Remember, it's not that I'm like a saint and I would have handled everything better. No, I was bitter. Then I changed myself. Then I realized that change is the only essence that I have to work with. Right? That's what I did. Okay, super. Let me just quickly see what else is coming in. Right. How to motivate anyone, right? Sai Kumari Pichala, right? How to motivate anyone. Typically, we cannot motivate anyone. Even I'm not motivating anyone right now. What I'm doing is I'm just sharing insights. If it connects with you, you will change yourself. If it doesn't connect with you, you will not change yourself. Simple. I'm just a mediator, right, between your thoughts and whatever is happening in your world. And if you like it, you will get motivated. However, in a very very scientific way, very very scientific way, very intense way, if I have to answers in a psychological term, if I have to motivate someone, I have to give them their emotion, right? If I give them the emotion that they want, they will be motivated. Let me give you an example. If somebody is hungry, right, and if they like idli, if I give them pizza, they will hate me, right? Similarly, when somebody is emotional, anger is an emotion, demotivation is is one form of an emotion. So when somebody is demotivated, they will need a emotion. It could be love, it could be significance, it could be giving them some kind of a promotion, which we call it as growth. All of these, if I give them the right emotion, they will be motivated. A deep science around it, I'm just giving you a tip of the iceberg, right? What made you want to become a motivational speaker? Bindu, great question. I am not a motivational speaker, right? I don't do motivational speaking. I do speaking because of lot of reasons. Number one, 2013 changed my life quite a bit, right? I realized that the corporate world is very very different, right? And a lot of people needed support. Now there are two ways to do it. Two ways to look for your gifts, whatever you are blessed with, right? One is learn and develop your gifts. Two is whatever gifts you have, you develop. So when 2013, when I looked back and asked myself, what are the things that you are really good at, Sharath? I was really good at speaking, thanks to my genes. I think that is something that is there. My mother is a teacher, right? And that came very naturally to me. So I train, speak, coach, and then I developed myself to be a better speaker. So I was good, but I developed myself to be good, and I keep developing myself, right? That's something that I do. So that made me a motivational speaker. And I think another thing that is really good about this profession that I am in is every time we do some sessions, people get motivated, people do something that they uh, were holding back from doing, right? It gives an immense satisfaction when you see shift happening in other people's life. I think those are the few things that made me a motivational speaker. uh, okay, so what values are most important to you as a leader, Bhargavi? Great question again. Okay, so I have again, I've has the blessing, I have had the blessing of getting trained under some of the best minds on this planet. John Maxwell, who is one of the leading leadership coaches in the world, I had the privilege of getting trained under him, and he said something really beautiful. He said, if you want to be a leader, you number one, you have to be a giver, right? That's one most important value. You cannot become a leader by taking, you can become a leader by giving, and most people misunderstand it. The second quality that you need, or the second value that you really need to have, is care for people. A leader without a follower is a titled leader. Matlab, you have a title, you don't have anything else, right? A leader has followers, and if you have followers, you've got to really care for them. If you don't care for others, you're not, you cannot be a leader. As simple as that. The third one is your willingness to be better version of yourself always. If you want to lead others, you got to lead yourself first, right? If you cannot lead yourself first, you cannot lead others. Simple. That's how the science works, right? That's how the life works. I cannot ask somebody to be a better version of themselves and I be a bitter version of myself, right? I'm asking something from people which I am not. It's like manipulation. It's not leadership. It's not influence, right? So those three values that come to top of my mind, Bhargavi. After BTech, is it good to do MTech or MBA? Right, Vinay, it is a very, very great question. Um, what do you want? Right? What do you want to do, Vinay? It's a very generic question, right? MTech or MBA. Why do you want to do MTech or MBA? What's the reason behind it? Again, I've been emphasizing on this one. What's your why? Why do you want it? Right? It's good to have multiple degrees. It's good to have invest in education. But why do you want to do it? So to be really honest, if you ask me, again, a very generic suggestion, not a specific one. Unless I know you a little more, I cannot give you the complete suggestion. I would recommend after BTech, at least do your, do work for about 5 years. If not 5 years, at least for 3 years. Take the working experience. I'm saying example, right? Working experience. Once you take 3 years of working experience, then decide whether MTech will be good, whether MBA will be good. Then you have some more, some more choices that you will have in your experience, right? In your career, right? Otherwise, you're gone. You're off track, right? And by the way, let me tell you, degrees will only get you to some extent, right? You can get MTech, you can take multiple of them. It will only give you some exposure, but the more realistic things will happen when you experience things. Degrees are good, but experience cannot be replaced. So today, one of the things that I'm blessed to have is my experience of selling crackers, doing food catering business, doing door-to-door selling and all that. All of that has made me a better person, right? And I never learned all of that in books. Never had a degree for it, right? So I would recommend you to take 3 to 5 years of working experience and then go for MTech or MBA. How to develop skills? Sai Kumar, please look at the list of skills that you want to develop. Either do your join some courses, go to Udemy, go to Coursera. There are so many platforms where you can sit down and learn all your skills. You need to really evaluate yourself as to what skills do you want to learn, and learn. Two ways that you can learn. One is by experience, another one is by books, right? Books will give you some guidelines. Experience will give you real life experience, and all of that will make you better, basically, right? How do you develop skills? By learning on Udemy or on Coursera, or joining some courses in some institutions. The second way is to work under a mentor, get experience, and that's how you will develop the skills, right? Brilliant. Any other questions? I think superb. Right, oh guys, any other questions? I think we're almost done, right? If I missed any questions, I hope I have not. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly end. We are almost at the end of this session. I'm going to give you a little story here, one of my favorite story, and I usually end my session with this story, one of my favorite stories. In 2012, 13, when I'll take that question in the end now. I'll just finish off this story and I'll end. I'll take the question. Right. In 2012, when I was, asked to leave the job, I was still doing trainings. I was in the corporate world and I was still doing trainings. Right. And during that phase, I learned one of my best lifetime lessons. 2012, I think it was in the month of November that I traveled to Delhi, and I was coming back after doing a training program there. 2012, I finished a training program, took a flight, came back to Hyderabad, landed in Hyderabad at 2:30 in the night, 2:30 a.m. The flight was late, so I reached airport at about 2:30 in the midnight. Now, some of you might be knowing that Hyderabad airport, which is a Shamshabad, in 2012, the development wasn't there so much. Coming from Shamshabad to the city was a big task, because this pitch dark, passengers were looted, all kind of nonsense was happening at that time. And when I reached there was also Telangana Andhra issue that was happening, right? So in the midst of all of that, I reached airport at 2:30. I come out of the airport and I look for taxis. There was not even a single taxi. Right? I went to the bus bay. The bus wasn't there because they have shelved the services. 2:30 in the midnight, and I'm like thinking, what should I do? Should I call my brother or should I call my friends? I said, okay, let me go back, sit there. Maybe in the morning, 2-3 hours from now, I'll find a taxi. And while I was doing this, there is this guy, 6 feet tall. He walks up to me and he says, He calls me, sir. He says, sir, my taxi is about half a kilometer from here. I can drop you wherever you want to. You'll have to walk with me for half a kilometer. And then he explained, because of the Telangana Andhra issue and the Band and all that, they stopped the taxis. Right. So I was thinking, should I go with him or not? Because I've heard these taxi drivers speak in world class English. They take you to the taxi and they loot everything that you have. They take off all the things that you have. This guy was speaking to me in world class English. I don't know why that day, but I went with him. Right. He picked my luggage. We started talking, all conversation in English. Right. We put the luggage in the back seat. I usually sit next to the driver. So I sat there and we started talking, all conversation in English. All this time, my mind was like, am I doing a mistake? Am I doing a mistake? Is this guy a right guy? Because speaking to me in world class English and a taxi driver in India is very, very unusual. Right. So we start, and then I notice his name. His name was Ramakrishna. And while speaking, he said, call me RK, sir. You can call me RK. Most people call me RK. And then we started talking, and I asked RK, you're speaking in such great English. Where have you done your education from? He said, I did my education when I was in jail. And remember, my mind was always telling me, don't go. And this guy tells me that he was in jail. My heart almost skipped a beat. I was like, Sharath, you are in trouble. I was quiet. I didn't speak much. And then after some time, again, I started talking. I'm a speaker. After all, I have to speak to more people. So I started talking to him and I asked RK, why were you in jail? RK said, I was in jail because I committed a murder. And I'm like, dude, this guy is a killer, and I'm sitting next to him. For some time, I wanted to jump out of the car, but then I did not. And I remember that 30 minutes of a conversation that I had with RK. After that, I spoke to him a little more, and I asked him a lot of questions, and he told me something very interesting. I asked RK, why were you in jail? What did you do? He said, I committed a murder and I was put behind the bars for a murder that I did not do. He was 18 years old when he was picked up from a crime scene for a crime he did not commit. He was labeled as a murderer, put behind the bars, surrounded by rapists, dacoits, all those dirty people around with who an 18-year kid should not be spending time. He was hit, he was abused, he went through literal hell every day for a crime he did not commit. All of us at the age of 18, we were having the best time of our life. But this guy who was 18 then was going through hell. He wanted to commit suicide. And one fine day, he decided that I will commit suicide. I cannot take this anymore. And he decided to, next day morning, just tie himself up with a rope and die. And that night, strange things happen in life. This guy dreamt about his mother. His mother was a great inspiration. His mother used to give him great lessons. His mother told him, Beta, every morning when you wake up, you have two choices. Remember, every morning when you wake up, you have two choices. You have a choice to wake up and start working on your dreams, or you have a choice to go back to sleep, say 5 more minutes of sleep, which turns into 15 more minutes, which turns into 30 more minutes. You have a choice to wake up and work, or you have a choice to go back to sleep. When you decide to wake up and start working on your dreams, again, there will be instances when you will have to make one of the two choices. One, people around you will come and tell you you're good for nothing, you're hopeless, you're worthless, you're absolutely a crap. You have a choice to listen to them, or you have a choice to listen to your own inner self. Yourself, which knows you more than anybody else. Yourself, which tells you one more try. Yourself, which tells you, hey, I should not be listening to other people. I should be working on my dreams. You have a choice to listen to others, or you have a choice to listen to yourself. You have to listen to yourself. When you listen to yourself, When you start giving your 100% attempt, you start making everything possible in your life. There will be moments when you will feel like giving up. There will be moments when you will feel like, why is this happening to me, God? When you play the game at the next level, people will come, all of those things will happen. There will be moments when you will be like, done, no, I can't take this. That's the moment. If you take one step forward and not one step backward, if you take one step forward, life will never ever be the same. But if you take one step backward, your life is over. Because life doesn't like people who step back. Life likes people who step forward. Right? You always have a choice. This kid who was 19, 18 years old at that time, RK, made a choice. He got up, he fought with the system, he fought with everyone, finished his graduation, finished his post graduation, let out from the jail. Today he lives a happy life. He has 2 daughters, he has 3 cars, he runs one of the cars. Right? He lives in Hyderabad. For me, he's an achiever. Right? He's an amazing achiever because he decided to change himself. He decided to understand that life at the end of the day is a choice. Nothing more, nothing less. Some people make better choices. Some people don't make choices. People who make better choices, they have a better life. Nobody on this planet is there who cannot have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Everyone has a choice. Right? I want to end this with saying one simple statement which I learned from my mentor, Les Brown, who's the topmost motivational speaker in the world. He asked me, Sharad, which is the richest place on this planet? A lot of people say it is Abu Dhabi, some place in the, where the gold mines are. But the fact is, the richest place on this planet is your graveyard. And I say this because all the dreams that you have, all the books that you want to read, all the people that you want to impact your life with, right? All the people you want to serve, all the great places you want to travel, every great thing that you want to do in your life, you don't do it. And when you don't do it, all of that gets buried with you. All your dreams get buried with you. All the love that you want to give to the loved ones, all the places that you want to travel, every book that you wanted to read gets buried with you. That's the reason that your graveyard is richer. Your graveyard is richer and not anything else. Right? So my sincere request to each one of you who is watching this, don't make your graveyard rich. Make your life rich. Make right choices and live a life like an achiever. With that thought, thank you so much, guys. Take care of your